Only a week after leading Uconn to a record 12th national championship and first in 9 years, Paige Bueckers has been drafted with the first overall pick to the Dallas Wings, where she looks to continue her run of success. And she is going to need all of the momentum imaginable, because it's going to take more than just a generational talent in Paige to turn around that franchise. And no offense to any other girl who was drafted, but Paige Bueckers was by far the best prospect. Not only was she the most talented, had the most upside, was the most WNBA ready, but she had more than double the amount of success than anyone else in her 5 years at Uconn. And it's been known how great Paige has been for a while. Hell, there's this viral tweet that pops up every few months, written by a scout named Gary Knox, where he says, remember the name, Paige Bueckers, 6th grade, think Diana Taurasi, the best 6th grade guard I've ever seen. And that is her talents being recognized at only 12 years old. And it doesn't stop there, because coming out of high school and going into college, Paige was the #1 ranked recruit in her class. And that 2020 recruiting class was absolutely loaded. Think some of the biggest names this sport has ever seen. Paige was ranked ahead of Cameron Brink, Angel Reese, Caitlin Clark, Camila Cardoza, all of whom were stars in college and are thriving in the WNBA. And the only reason that Paige stayed an extra year in college was to win that national championship with Uconn, something she accomplished only a handful of days ago. And it is no exaggeration to say that the Huskies wouldn't have won the national championship without her. And while she may not have averaged any career highs on the season, besides from the free throw line, that didn't stop her from leading her team in points and assists, as she would go on to average 19.9 points per game and 4.6 assists, while still getting 4.4 rebounds, more than 2 steals, and nearly a block per game. And she did all of this while shooting 53% from the field and 42% from the three-point line. Extremely high shooting percentages considering we are talking about women's college basketball here. And of course, all of that talented play didn't go unnoticed, because she would be named AP All-American First Team, USBWA All-American First Team, and a WBCA All-American. She won any and every award under the sun over her 5 years at Uconn, and deservedly so. She has been one of the best college basketball players that this world has ever seen. And while all of those numbers and stats are nice, what I really want to do is take a deep dive into Paige Bueckers' game. Right after, I remind you guys to slow down, like the video, and subscribe to the channel. We're on the road to 10,000. Every subscription is greatly appreciated, so please subscribe. But let's get back to Paige Bueckers here, who is the definition of a complete player. There is not one major flaw you can name in her game. And while her highly efficient scoring does take up most of the headlines, with her ability to create her own shots and score in a variety of different ways, it also masks other things she's good at, such as her high-level playmaking and her exceptional court vision. If there's one thing that Paige Bueckers can do in offense, it's find the open woman. It doesn't matter where she is on the court, she will make the right decision when it matters most. And that all comes down to basketball IQ. And what she's really doing is elevating the level to which her team's offense can be effective at. She's a great floor raiser for any team that you put her on. But it's not only the offensive side of the ball that Paige is great at. She's also a very versatile defender, an aspect in her game that I think the Dallas Wings will find very useful. She can guard multiple positions, and her defense goes beyond just blocking shots, which she's still somehow able to do at only 5'11". But besides blocking shots, she's great at reading the defense and knows when to steal the ball, because like I mentioned earlier, she was averaging more than 2 steals a game. There is no one who can disrupt an offense's flow the way Paige Bueckers can. And if all she had to her name was her defensive ability, I still believe that the Dallas Wings would have drafted her first overall, because that is something that the Dallas Wings have been struggling with. While they were middle of the pack when it came to their offensive rating last season, they were dead last in the WNBA when it came to defensive rating. They only won 9 games, had 31 losses, and in more than half of those losses, they were losing by double digits. It was blowout after blowout for the Dallas Wings. It didn't matter that the Dallas Wings had 4 players who were averaging more than 17 points per game, because they were getting crushed on the defensive side. It also didn't matter that the Dallas Wings had a superstar on their roster last season in Enrique Ogunbowale, who was drafted with the 5th overall pick back in 2019, and since then has been wasting her career away in Dallas. In her first 6 seasons in the WNBA, she's finished top 10 in MVP voting every single time. That is how great she is. She's a 4-time All-Star, she was 2019 All-Rookie, 2020 scoring champion, and she's been on the All-WNBA team 3 times. Enrique Ogunbowale is the only asset that the Dallas Wings have, or at least had, until Paige Bueckers arrived. But still, she was doing everything for her team last season. She averaged the most points, the most steals, the most assists. She had the highest usage rate because of course she did. She was playing with a whole lot of bums, and Enrique is happier than anyone else that the team was able to land the 1st overall pick, because I promise you, if they didn't have the 1st overall pick, then you could have probably expected her to walk as soon as her contract was up. She is still 27 years old, in the midst of her prime, and is getting paired with another superstar. It only took her 6 years in the WNBA for her to get that. But last season, she was averaging 22.2 points per game, had 5.1 assists, 2.1 steals while shooting 38% from the field, an aspect in her game that she can definitely raise. If there's one thing that Enrique hasn't been great at, it's her efficiency. She shot 34% from the 3-point line and was even able to snag 4.6 boards. And she's doing all of this while only being 5'8" at 165 pounds, which is undersized even in the WNBA. There should be no reason that a woman like her is averaging 4.6 rebounds, and yet it feels like she has to for her team to have a chance because the rest of her teammates are completely useless. Now, Paige is walking into a pretty similar situation that Caitlin Clark did just a year ago. Just a year ago, Caitlin Clark was drafted with the 1st overall pick by the Indiana Fever, who not only were terrible on the defensive side, but were awful on offense as well. And yet she was able to raise their floor. She got them to a record of 20-20, their first season at or above 500 since 2016. She got her team into the playoffs, and while they were a 1st-round exit, Caitlin Clark has their future looking a lot brighter. Caitlin Clark was able to average 19.2 points per game in her rookie season, along with 8.4 assists and 5.7 steals, while shooting 41% from the field and 34% from the 3-point line. Sure, her numbers did drop off a bit from college, but still, Caitlin Clark was the only stud on her team, an absolute baller, and I think that Paige Bueckers will do the exact same for the Dallas Wings in this upcoming WNBA season. But anyway, I think I've said everything I've wanted to about Paige Bueckers and the Dallas Wings and the upcoming WNBA season. I don't think that their viewership is going to fall off from their records that they broke last season. In fact, I think that the WNBA's future is only getting brighter. But like I said, that's about it for this video, so I'll catch y'all later. Much love. Deuces. She said, take your time, what's the rush? I said, baby, I'm a dog, I'm a mutt.